I didn't have time for this, so I needed to get better. And that's really where my mind was. I was not going to stand for being disabled in some way. That was not an option for me. I'm like, nope, we're going to get back to where we were.
Your plan, your life goals, your future, gone. What you're doing, not so much. How does that spark a new idea? That's what we dive in today.
I'm Toby Lyles, and my esteemed son,
Maverick Lyles.
And this is the Voices on the Wind podcast. We have Denise Hawkins, of the artist, the photographer, the working on paintings, and she talks about how a tragic loss in her life brought back a new world. Yeah.
We also have our newsletter. That is votw.substack.com. That's where we have, just the takeaways from the podcast, cool things that we've learned, and as well as a lot of fun stories. So if you haven't checked that out, please do.
This is Denise Hawkins.
We just decided to make a go of it with my business because we were already living on one income anyway. So I started building my business, and then in 2012, I had my stroke, and that was the end of that.
Was that the first business you had started?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you go to college, get a marketing degree, and you're like newly printed website building material, essentially. And you decide you can start a business doing it.
It was worth a try.
Worth a try. It takes a bunch of, it might take a bunch of guts to do that or something for some people. Was it easy for you, or natural? Of course,
it was just so natural.
Really?
It didn't feel like it took any guts. I felt like I was getting a sweet, easy deal because I got to stay home.
Yeah.
I could basically have the same hours as the kids. When they got home from school, I'd be done with my workday and be able to work with their extracurricular activities. So, yeah, it was just such an easy fit. It didn't feel gutsy at all. It was just everything fell into place. And I was getting to the point, right about the time I had my stroke, I was getting to the point where people were asking me to take on projects. And I needed to make a big decision whether to actually really go for it and hire somebody.
Oh, okay.
Or because it was getting to be too much. And I was at that point, and then I had my stroke, and it's like, well, the question is answered then. We're not going to go this direction anymore.
Wow. So you've built a business. Sounds like it's doing very well.
It's doing all right.
You're ready to go into the next phase, and a stroke hits.
And I have to clarify for your listeners that I didn't know this until it happened to me. There's two kinds of stroke. There's the blood clot kind, which is an ischemic stroke, and most people are familiar with that.
Okay.
But what mine was a hemorrhage. It was a brain hemorrhage.
Okay.
So I just had a blood vessel in my brain that burst. Wow. There was nothing I could have done. I was actually really, really healthy and very fit when it happened.
You said that you used to road bike before then?
Yes,
right?
I was road biking. I was averaging like 100 miles a week on my road bike at the time. Yeah. So there wasn't anything I could have done to prevent it.
There's the stroke side of it, and then there's the emotion side of the stroke. Do you want to talk about how that felt?
As far as recovery, I was just focused. Like I had a senior in high school. I had a freshman in high school when this happened. A husband that was working full time, and I didn't have time for this. So I needed to get better. And that's really where my mind was. And then I saw a slogan once, I think it was on a t-shirt, and it was, "You don't know how strong you are until that's the only choice you have." And it was exactly me. It's like, you just have to do it. There's no other option. You just have to get through it. So that's what I did. I guess I was pretty driven to recover. I was not going to stand for being disabled in some way. That was not an option for me. I'm like, nope, we're going to get back to where we were.
Yeah.
So in many ways I did, physically especially. Most people look at me and say, I could never tell you had a stroke, when that's a great compliment to me.
Is there a story in the middle of that? Is there like a moment you remember that's specific to that time where you said, I'm not going to let this keep me down?
I think the one time I cried really hard was when I was in rehab. I was still in a wheelchair. They took me home to assess my house for, as far as, how I'd be able to get around in a wheelchair and stuff. But I didn't get to stay there. I had to go back. And that crushed me.
Really?
Because I had to go back. They weren't going to release me for another few days or a week or something. And that was like one of the hardest points. And then I struggled so much with walking and everything, but I was determined. So I did go home with just a walker. It's like, I'm not going home in a wheelchair. I'm not going to do it. And I barely did it. I remember my husband driving me home. It was the first time I'd been in a car in a couple of weeks. And I was so dizzy. It was just, the effects. And I was like, no, we're going to go home. And I did it. I was using a walker by then, barely.
Because you shifted into art later on, and to jump ahead, I think you said, well, I wasn't doing that. So I felt a little bit of permission to do something else, and other things changed. We'll get into that. But I'm also like, did life feel basically the same? And you were just like, I'm going to be healthy to be back where I was? Or or did something shift in you after the stroke that changed priorities that maybe brought you here? And maybe not.
I think there was a shift. I may not have recognized it right away.
Okay.
It's taken a few years to kind of discern that. So, at first it was just get back into life and get going. And the business was not a priority. As we talked about a little bit, just kind of, I did a few clients and then just let everything else slip away. But, the focusing on art, it's sort of taken a few years to sort of percolate. So I guess I'm hard-headed or something.
No.
or just stuck in my ways. I don't know. It's taken a while to get here.
So you have a stroke, and where did art start to percolate, start to come back after that?
So that was when we were talking earlier, when I really couldn't ride my bike anymore because my balance is so bad. And part of that was I'd had a seizure after my stroke, which honest to God was scarier than the stroke because I was aware of what was going on.
Oh my gosh.
And so because of that seizure, I know that it was my brain just kind of rewiring itself. It happened about 11 months after.
Really?
But they put me on anti-seizure medication. I was on that for about 5 years, and it just ruined my balance, just the side effects. I don't do well on medications anyway. So, so I stopped riding my bike. Unfortunately, that was just kind of lost that part of some of my friendships and stuff that went along with that, which was heartbreaking to me. But I could still hike. And at first I was hiking with trekking poles because even my balance on a trail was a little weird. But as I've done that more, it's gotten better. And so I started hauling my camera out with me and taking pictures while we're out on hikes, or, oh, look, let's pull over here. And it just started to grow. And then as I started to show my photographs to friends and family, or make a photo album from a trip and send it out to friends and family, I was getting feedback. This is really good. Have you thought about showing this or selling this? And as I have evolved over the last couple of years since I started showing, I really love the historical aspect of the abandoned buildings, the stories that our history has to tell us, especially in the West. So that's really kind of where I'm going with this. That's where it feels right. So,
is there a there's often in our artwork, there's often a piece of us that's involved in that. What do you think that is for you in the abandoned buildings or the history or the...
Well, I've always loved history anyway, but I think it's just the stories.
The stories.
Some of that may come a little bit from my family too. Just my mom has always talked about her life growing up. She grew up in France.
Okay. Wow.
She was born in 1938, so right during or right before the occupation and then World War II. So her earliest memories are of World War II. And so when I was a little kid, I was sort of the odd duck just because I have this French mother that doesn't necessarily know, well, she knew, but we didn't have all the American customs necessarily in our household. And she talked about France all the time, and she talked about the way she grew up. And so there was a real focus on her family history and the importance of it. And so that has probably shaped me too on how I look at history and how that's important. And even I'll go back to some of these buildings a couple years later and photograph them again. And they've changed. The weather has taken them down, or maybe someone has, painted graffiti or whatever. They're different. And so it's almost like a historical documentation. I'm just kind of all over the board here, but I do think that my mom's focus on her family history has probably had a big influence on why I love history so much, and why I think it's important that we know or even just recognize the beauty and the history of these old places.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, yeah.
There's that.
That's wonderful. Yeah. So you have had a stroke, and then you're riding your bike, you'd like to ride your bike, but you can't. So you start hiking. You take out your camera. You start photographing. And then people start to enjoy those photographs and encourage you to sell them. How did it feel for you to have people tell you, yeah, you should do that? These are really cool.
Well, it's definitely an adrenaline rush. Like, really? Do you think so? So, yeah, I mean, you get that kind of encouragement. It's hard to ignore that. So, yeah, I went with it. So okay. I think it was the Cheyenne Arts Celebration in 2023 or 2022. It was one of the two when they very first started, and I had a very basic tent. This was encouragement from another artist, Steve Knox, and he was great for me to bounce questions off, and he was very encouraging. He helped me out. And so I set up a tent, and I had some stuff printed and thought I'd try it out. And I sold a bunch of the work, and people liked it. And I was getting a lot of comments and compliments. And I thought, wow, this is fantastic. What a feeling, And so, I started to learn through Steve and through some other artists and through Cheyenne Creativity Center, Desiree, and some other people there that how to use call for entry to apply for shows, to get my work into shows. And then I was in Western Spirit for the first time the following year, which is a big show in the region. So yeah, it's just kind of been snowballing. So it's hard to deny. When you get an award or somebody buys your work, and it really means something to them. That's like the best encouragement you can have, and it's validation for what you're doing. And I mean, I've sold plenty of pieces too. I've sold really expensive pieces to obviously wealthy people, and they're just like, "Oh yeah, we hung it up," and they don't show me any emotion. But then I sold a piece to a young lady. I gave her a huge discount because it didn't matter to me. She loved the piece so much she started to cry. And
really,
that meant more to me. It didn't matter to me that I didn't make a profit. I sold it to her pretty much at my cost.
Wow.
And that meant so much more to me than making the profit off the big sale. It's just, that's what's important.
Yeah.
I touched her in some way, and that's powerful. That's a powerful thing.
Yeah.
And that's what a gift to be able to experience that and to be able to provide that sort of emotional response for somebody that means something so much to them. Yeah.
Yeah. That would be a life or a significant event, I would guess, for her. As well for you, had you had anything like that before?
No, it blew me away.
Wow.
Blew me away. Yeah. So I will never forget that.
So this was almost more, I don't know, more encouraging because it was more explicit. There were words involved here and emotion.
Definitely.
And was it also because, did you feel like there's more of you involved in the art? Like,
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah, like I'm hanging my soul up in this tent. It may just be photography, but it's my photography. It's my vision. It's what I saw and my way of interpreting it. And so, yeah, you're hanging up all your emotions on the walls of a tent there. And I'm sure it's the same. If it might even be more intense now. I'm about to start hanging up some paintings, and that might be even more than the photography. I don't know. We'll see how that goes, but.
So then you got encouragement from the local art community.
I think I knew I was a photographer, and having that first validation of selling some things, I was like, okay, this is where I want to be. By then, both of our kids were out of college, moved on, moved away. So it's just empty nest. I wasn't working full time anymore, and I could really had the freedom to focus on what I wanted to. I started entering into shows, group shows, and then Georgia Rousewell actually offered me to come when her and Dave were at Blue Door. She invited me to have a solo show there, so I did. That was my first solo show.
Wow.
And then Steve Knox had me come out and he has continued to invite me to his Christmas setup that he has at his shop, and that's terrific. And I love that because it's just a lot of us local artists, and we all know each other, and it's very, very comfortable. And and then I think the big one was in 2024 as I entered the governor's Capitol exhibit, which is on display right now. It's a biannual exhibit.
Okay.
So the current one is up right now at the Capitol, and I entered, and I won a purchase award, which is they only purchase 4 or 5 a year for the state. So now I have it's this piece right here is in the permanent collection at the state of Wyoming.
Yeah.
And I won the Governor's Choice Award that year for that print.
Wow.
So, boom. I mean, that's the biggest honor I've received, and what an honor. So, wow.
Wow.
What can I say?
There's got to be some piece of you, some little girl who was taking photography or was taking photographs back in the day, or I don't know. Did it? Is there something in that validated or released or gave permission for some natural side of you?
I think so. It was just, wow, I really can do this. And maybe I'm good at it too.
Yeah.
But also on the flip side, it was like, is this it? Have I reached the pinnacle? So that's the mind of mine working, probably overworking and overworrying about things too. It's like, well, have I reached my climax here with this? So then it's just a matter of keep building and exploring, and doesn't have to be a pinnacle. It can just be part of building the momentum. So that's what I'm trying to strive to do.
One of the biggest issues artists have, authors, musicians really have this, but I'm sure photographers have this as well, or painters, that you'll do some great work, and it will be the accumulation of 10 or 20 years of practice, and then finally it's the Governor's Award or bestseller on New York Times, whatever, And then the next question is,
now what?
basically that. Now what? How can I? And so then there's like the next thing has to be so good. But you just kind of said, you just like move on to the next thing. And how do you
building.
stay curious? And how do you not let that success impede you from going to the next thing?
Right. So that's been an interesting process for me. Last year was a tough one, and I didn't really shoot very much. My husband had some health problems, and so that was really our focus. And I wasn't interested. I wasn't motivated. Didn't do a lot. And so I really kind of got on myself about it. I chastised myself. Well, I need to be out shooting. I need to do this. I need to do that. And I finally came to the realization through some, thinking about it and through some prayers, no, it's okay. This is where I'm at right now. This is where my focus needs to be, is not on this stuff. It needs to be on him. And it was okay. It was just okay. So because of that experience, I think I'm more open to just letting it flow naturally. And I think that's really important too for artists, especially as I'm starting to paint again, which I haven't done since, pretty much really haven't done that much since college. And so it's okay to just let it come naturally, and I don't have to force it.
I always enjoy stories where how they end up chasing those old childhood dreams. It is very easy, just so easy in this world to lose those important childhood dreams. I don't think people realize just how important they are. Where, yes, they're in our childhood, but they're childhoods when we dream, and we're most innocent, I guess, but more. That's when we're willing to express those things that really do matter to us. I think it just shows us how, if it comes from our childhood, just how important it really is. And so seeing her, dive into that and going back into her dream, I just think it's so important. I think it's important for all of us to prioritize those dreams and to realize like they are important, and like she just did it for fun on the side, and people loved it, and that she has moved people with her paintings and with her art and with her and I just think I think that really is it. I think her story is really a tale of how important it is to chase our dreams. And I think that's what I really like about her story.
Yeah, it's really thought. Yeah. The fact that she chased her dreams, she built a business around it so she could keep on doing it. And here she is, and impacting people's lives to tears. That's a lot of other people's lives. And even though not everybody's crying about it, but everybody's bettered for it.
Yeah.
So, Denise, really appreciate you being on the podcast and what you've built and how you've built it, and that she continues to press on.
Yeah.
So it's very cool. Maybe we all do that. Until then, my friends, happy sailing.